Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Welcome. Welcome to today's lesson. Happy Thursday and cheers. I am so looking forward to today's talk, and it's going to be a good one. And I just want to welcome you to today's lesson and get settled in. And can you believe it? We only have a few more lessons left, which is kind of sad. Sometimes it's interesting when things go fast and then slow, and then you're at the end and you're like, oh my gosh, now we're at the celebration call at the end, but we're not there yet. So we still have a couple more amazing lessons. Let me make sure, I didn't have the comments up last time, so let me make sure I have those for when you gals pop on. So say hello if you're live or on the replay. Getting into the vibes. Alrighty. Alright, I need to cut this music down so it's the perfect length for me. Someday, it's on the bottom of the to-do list. I mention that a lot. Well, welcome to today's lesson, and I'm excited because this is such an important topic, but also a tough topic at the same time. And it's so important for our self-love and connection and all these pieces. So we are going to talk today about vulnerability. And vulnerability is, honestly, this is at the heartbeat of everything that I teach and lead women like you through. And it's also it's at the heartbeat of everything. Without vulnerability, we don't really have access to anything else. We have access to things on the surface, but not in that deep, connected, intimate, soul level type of place. And with vulnerability, it can get the heart to little pitter patter, the vulnerability piece, and we'll get into this today. And I feel like, and I'm going to, preview mode. Am I in preview mode? No. Wait, back to live mode. Oh, that was weird. Sorry, there's a new setting that was super. I was like, wait, am I actually live? Yes. So why vulnerability? And why are we talking about this in a program all about self-love? So when it comes to vulnerability is this place where we have to first connect with ourselves at a vulnerable level. This is where it all starts. Self first, connection with self first, love in self, and being vulnerable with inside of ourselves. Because if we can't be vulnerable with inside of ourselves, then it's really hard to then share it to the outside world. And vulnerability it's this bridge between you and everything else. It's the connection piece. It's the access of intimacy. It's the access of that deep love in everything that we have, with whether it's a partner, your business, your kids, with anything. So we have to deepen our connection and love and self in a vulnerable way so that we can then share it with others, which we'll talk about here today. But that first piece is being in vulnerability with yourself. So what the heck does this actually mean? What does this mean? So vulnerability inside of ourself is really being truthful and honest and really owning the truth inside of ourself, the truth of our soul self. This is our desires. So we've been working on daily writing down desires, and it's a practice that ebb and flows, and it took me a while to get into it. So if it's tricky to write down your desires every day, that's okay. But this is a place when you write down your desires, this is actually vulnerability with yourself, because you are speaking out and sharing with yourself, writing it down, what actually is your desires, what is inside of you. So vulnerability is the truth of what is inside of you and actually speaking it out, either to yourself or to others. But we have to own them first inside of ourselves and allow space for the things inside of ourselves. That's the vulnerable place. So our desires, our wants, our needs, our voice, right? Even including our body of self. Being vulnerable with our body that's a huge piece as well. Can you be vulnerable? Can you be connected to yourself in pure love and not have any criticism start to seep in and try to inflict on yourself, whether it's your mind, body, soul, all these different pieces, or your heart too. So oftentimes, right, our body is a place where we aren't openly vulnerable with in a very loving type of way. Because when you're criticizing your body, if you look in the mirror and you're like, ugh, and you get the ugh, that's not being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is seeing and sharing love and being compassionate for what's there and allowing space for the growth of where you actually want to be going toward your wants, your needs, and your desires. So, using that example with the body, vulnerability is sitting with the truth of the emotion of not criticism type of emotion, but rather this place of, yeah, okay, maybe my body isn't where I want it to be, but I love my body. I want to be so, I love you, I love you, I love you. And let's now take actions to move toward more strength, more health, more whatever it is that you want in your body. I always aim for health and clean energy, because with the work I do, man, clean energy is a must. If I'm all clogged up with a bunch of pizza or a bunch of drinks, like, that's just not working. It's just not working. It just bogs me down. So, and of course, health pieces too. But it's all in the name of love, right? Vulnerability is a place in the name of love. And if it's criticizing or shoving it away or judging anything about who you are, that's not being vulnerable. So another thing, right, as we talked about, say desires, is if you put a desire out there and you're like, oh my gosh, I want this. Vulnerability is allowing that to actually exist in the world, to allow it to have space without judgment, without criticism, to allow it to be and to love what it is. So perhaps you put a desire out there and then your mind starts to go and nope, nope, you can't have that. That's just ridiculous. Nope, nope, nope. Right? We've talked about those inner protectors in a previous lesson. This is where the blocks to your vulnerability really start happening. Because the inner protectors inside of you, vulnerability is like, no, like, do not be vulnerable. Do not share your wants and needs. Do not speak about, we talked about boundaries, right? And standards, do not speak about those things. Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, right? Vulnerability is allowing the you, the authentic you, the being of you to come through and loving that version of you, whatever it is, whatever it looks like, and all the pieces. Something, say the part in me, and I'm sure in you too, the people pleaser side, that is not a part of you that advocates for vulnerability. That is a part of you, as we've talked about before, it's very externally focused. Vulnerability doesn't live in the external validation, it's the internal place, as we've talked about. So as we look at, okay, what blocks me from actually accessing what's inside of me and actually seeing what's inside of me, because that's a really important piece about self-love, is the vulnerability to see you, to really see you. And as you've done some of those 4 minutes for you meditations, and you get to go back and redo some of them that really align for you, this is you seeing you. Vulnerability is, can I see myself for who I really am? Free of judgment, free of conditions, right? That is conditional love, that I have to look a certain way, be a certain way, do certain things in order to love myself. So many of us get trapped in this cycle and trapped in this stuck place and trapped in this avoidance of self. We avoid ourselves so much. We avoid our desires. We avoid our wants and needs. We avoid really looking at who we are. Because to look at ourselves and to really be with ourselves and be honest with ourselves and what is around us, what's in our mind, body, heart, and soul, all of the pieces, means sometimes we're not going to see the most amazingness, perfect of things. And I'm going to tell you a story about this in just a moment, about the vulnerability of allowing what is without the expectation of perfection. And this is another part of so many of us, the perfectionist side of you is not going to give any room for vulnerability. The perfectionist side of you is like, no, we have to be perfect. We cannot accept what is. We have to be, do, or have something and have it be pristine and perfect in order for me to love myself and be loved by others, is what comes up too. And also with the piece of like the overachieving and overdoing, that is also avoiding vulnerability, which is avoidance of self, right? Anything that you do to avoid yourself. We've talked about the protectors, right? All those pieces and the external validation looking outside. When we are in that active mode within those protectors, if those are really what's guiding, and remember, they're there because we've gotten wounded in the past, you've had hurt in the past, and those protectors got activated because pain is sometimes a result of vulnerability. Pain and hurt are going to happen in life. But then those protectors go in to try to prevent and avoid at all costs for you to get pained and hurt ever again because it was really painful. It makes sense, doesn't it? Like, why would I want to feel pain and hurt again? So of course, these parts in you got activated so to avoid all that hurt and pain. But as a result of that avoidance of hurt and pain is it's avoiding the vulnerability, the emotions, the truth, the authenticity of who you are. And it is really hard to love yourself when you are not actually being yourself. Think about that for a moment. How can we love ourselves if we are in people pleaser mode and being somebody in order to be loved by others? Behaving in a certain way, talking in a certain way, doing certain things in order to be loved by others. Again, that's avoidance of self. And when we are avoiding ourselves, we can't be loving ourselves. They can't exist in the same plane. They don't get to be in the same type of area. It's impossible to do the same at the same time. It's like, okay, I'm avoiding myself. So if I'm avoiding myself, how can I love myself? Because to love myself is to see myself. And to see myself is vulnerable. And to see myself and be vulnerable is to allow love to come into myself. Because love, that is a vulnerable thing. Love, because love of self is vulnerable and allowing the emotions in, which is allowing you to be seen. And we can't see ourselves if we're avoiding ourselves. So that makes sense, right? So when we are avoiding ourselves, not allowing what is, right? Whether it's looking at our bodies, looking at our minds, looking at what we have, the things around us, looking at the truth of where we are at and who we are, and allowing that to be without judgment, without conditional parameters of love for yourself. That is pure love. It's unconditional love. Unconditional love is seeing who you are and where you are at and allowing it to be with love. But oftentimes what happens is when we do look at ourselves, we criticize and we judge and we ping pong back and forth between avoidance of ourselves or looking at ourselves, turning toward ourselves and going, I don't like what I see. I don't like what I feel. I don't like any of this. So I'm going to judge all this and criticize all this and then go back into avoidance again. So then, right, criticizing too is also in a way avoidance of self, and it's not vulnerable at all. It's not vulnerable. It's just judgment. Anybody can be angry and criticizing and judging. That's not vulnerable. It's actually a very surface emotion. It's the place that actually doesn't allow you to go beneath the surface to the more vulnerable emotions. So if you even think about it, in a very key one is, say, anger, right? And I've been in this place, right? Being angry at myself. I'm sure you've had thoughts of, angry at yourself, right? Judgment, criticism, like, I can't believe I did that. Or, I'm so mad at myself that I didn't do that workout today. Or, I'm so mad that I didn't set that boundary that I wanted to. Right? Anger at yourself. But anger, whether it's in you or somebody else, anger is the secondary emotion that's up at the top. It's protecting what is the more vulnerable emotion inside of you that actually really needs to be seen in order for you to feel the love for you. So if you're feeling angry at yourself for something, can you dip below the surface to what the emotion is underneath that and go, okay, I'm mad at myself. But what of this emotion, because anger is a protector as well, that I'm going to come in and be angry so I don't have to feel the feels underneath. What is underneath? And can you feel that? And can you give love to that feeling? So let me give you an example. And it's a very recent example. When I looked at my lesson today about what I'm teaching, I'm like, of course we're talking about vulnerability. This is like how aligned I am with everything that I teach you ladies. It's like I'm like guiding myself through all of this. So I'm like actively going through this program with you. Sometimes it's kind of uncanny. So in the way of vulnerability. So this really plays in the part of vulnerable with self and how it impacts relationship. So recently, what had come to light is I realized my inner perfectionist side of me. This is a part inside of me that I continuously work on, but it's more in the forefront right now. I've done really well with my people pleaser, and I'm always still working on that. But my perfectionist side, that one needed a little extra attention because it was getting a little persnickety, this part of me. So that's the part that I had brought up to the forefront and working on that a lot more, not being perfect and giving self permission to be messy and not have to show up so pristine and only doing things because I desire. Like today, I curled my hair. I don't have to, right? In the past, I would have and been all perfect to try to put on an image in order for you to like me, but that was way past Chelsea. But that's often what we do, right? We need to look a certain way, be a certain way, to have no evidence of flaws in order to love ourselves and be loved by others, which is a bunch of BS, right? As I hope you've learned through this program and in these lessons. But my perfectionist side had done what it's meant to do, which is focus on the perfect, focus on the good, focus on what is not messy. And as I've just mentioned here, is when we are in those protectors, we are in avoidance of ourself and what actually is, and the more vulnerable piece inside that really needs to be seen and to be loved. So my perfectionist side, and so this is around, which we don't get too far in, and we'll get into it on our last call a little bit around money, but I financially, for myself, I was not paying attention to some of the pieces in a very kind of slowed down, making sure I'm making the right investments, those kind of things. Like there's a whole bunch of explanation around it, but it was more, I just get excited. I want to do things. I want to learn things. I want to grow. And I didn't slow down enough to let my inner money manager kind of take a look at things, right? I was just kind of like, I'm just going to keep on going. So my perfectionist side kept seeing that some of the money stuff was getting a little messy and a little wonky. And I know, and I advocate for investing in things because we do need to grow, and things like this program, coaching, those kind of pieces are really wonderful. But we also need to make sure that we have a balance of, and this is the lessons that get learned, of the balance of, yes, investing and paying things off, investing and paying things off. It seems like totally obvious, duh, like we're adults here. And I just have to tell you right now, this is vulnerable for me to share with you. So it's really wonderful that it all gets to align. But my perfectionist side refused to look at the mess. And when we refuse to look at the mess, and mess, I want to be very careful with this word too, because it can have, right, mess, or that it's a bad thing. But messy isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a bad thing if we make it a bad thing. This is the beliefs that we put on anything, right? That we have to make sure and be careful, as we've talked about before, about the beliefs that we have. Does this feel good or does it not feel good? Is this supportive of my soul self and for the love of myself? And in the way of messy is okay. We are not perfect beings. We don't have to be perfect in order for us to love ourselves. But so many of us have an inner perfectionist. I almost want to say most of us have an inner perfectionist, right? That it has to be perfect. I have to say the right thing on social media. in online entrepreneur land. I have to say the perfect thing to my partner. I have to look perfect. I have to have my home look perfect. I have to, right? And even see the language as I'm talking about this, it's I have to, which is not I desire to, it's I have to. And the perfectionist side in me kept focusing on not the mess. It was avoiding the messy bits inside of me. And what happened is in the financials, it kind of grew. It grew in a way that once I did tell my husband about it, he was not happy. I was not happy whatsoever. And it was a result of me not being able to look at my messy. Because when we look at our messy and say it's okay, that we are still lovable and that it's all okay, and then take action from that place, then it doesn't really become all too messy, to be honest. Right? If you think about, I'm thinking about like a home. If you have like everything kind of, it's a little bit messy, right? And my home is a little bit messy. It's not like pristine and like super clean, but it's a little bit messy. And if I keep avoiding it and keep avoiding it and keep avoiding it, guess what's going to happen? It's going to get messier and messier and dirtier and dirtier. At least at some point, someone's going to have to vacuum the floor, right? Especially with the dogs that I have. So we want to look and turn toward ourselves to really see what is and what's there, to own it and be honest and be vulnerable with what is messy and maybe what doesn't look so good, what doesn't look so perfect. This is the vulnerable piece. And it was something that I didn't realize that I was doing. This is the thing that sometimes is really hard, is the way that our inner protectors function and work is they're on autopilot. They're on autopilot. It is their key job to get external validation and to protect you and make sure that everything is okay and to avoid any vulnerable feelings. That's their job. That's their job. They're protecting, they're avoiding, and they're avoiding you at the same time, which is not what they're trying to do, but that's just what happens as a result. And that means any vulnerability within inside of you gets completely ignored until we take the conscious decision to look at things and bring them to the forefront so that we can see what has been on autopilot, right? This is the subconscious at work. When things are at subconscious, we don't even have to think about it. It just happens, right? It just happens. And then there's even things that are really on automatic, like the beating of your heart. It just happens. Like we don't even have to think about that. We don't even have to. And I'm blinking, like I don't even have to think about that. It's something that just happens. It's similar, it's different, but it's similar in that place of the subconscious level of our inner protectors. They just function. They've been doing it for so long, and it's the like clear path, the clear road, the neural pathways in the brain is just go, 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 and they fire and they fire and they go. Until we slow it down and we take a look at ourselves and being vulnerable with ourselves and loving what is there and loving what has been in process for a while, even if you didn't really know what it was going on. And I always need tissues. Do I have my tissues? No, I got allergies. Allergies are popping up around here. So now that the springtime and all the trees are budding. Self-love is a conscious act of bringing to the conscious level what has been underneath the surface, bringing it up and loving what you see and doing loving actions with what you see. This is very key because what we can do, so just an example that comes to my mind is maybe you've been avoiding just acknowledging that maybe you've gained some weight. Self-love often goes with body image, so that's why I'm talking about that a lot. You bring this to the forefront. Maybe you've been ignoring it for a while. You've been pretending it's not there, right? We've all done this, right? Nah, it's okay. Later. I'll look at it later. I'll consider it later. I'll make a plan later. I'll acknowledge it later. This is something that we do to avoid. But we avoid what actually is in front of us until this point where either it comes out in front of us and it's not conscious, it just like kind of smacks in the face, or you bring it to the forefront and you go, oh, this is actually not where I desire to be. This is actually not what I desire maybe my body to look like. This is not where I desire maybe, I don't know, your health and fitness to look like. This is not where I desire my finances to look like. This is not where I desire my relationship to be. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how many times when I was working with couples back in the day when they would come into my office and they would sit down. I'm just even picturing this one couple in particular. They were in avoidance land for like 30 years of all of the things that were vulnerable, all of the pieces that within inside themselves they couldn't see, let alone share with their partner. We have to see it first. As I said in the beginning, we have to see these pieces inside of ourselves first and own them and love them so that we can share it out with the world. But when we go in avoidance, then so many things pile up and so many things go underneath the rug, and then we're tripping over them. So what happens? We trip over them. And when we bring things up to the surface, the things that we've actually been avoiding intentionally or unintentionally, then it's like, ooh, how do I respond? This is a good question to ask yourself. How do I respond to when I see what I don't really desire to see? When I see the messiness, when I see the not so perfect actions, the not so perfect thoughts, the not so perfect behaviors, when I see something of myself that is not in alignment with what I desire. So like setting a boundary. Maybe you really wanted to set a boundary with the coworker at work. There's something that you needed to tell a coworker, right? Of like, no, right? We talked about this of no, I'm no longer available to, get the coffee every single day. I would love to pick it up on, Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that's what I'm available for. And maybe you went in to set that boundary, but it didn't come out in the perfect way. And maybe you went to go set that boundary, but then you got too scary and you didn't actually send it. It's in those moments, or you didn't actually say it. It's in those moments. How do you treat yourself when you aren't acting or talking or being in alignment with your desires? Are you being vulnerable with yourself in a very loving way? Love is vulnerability and vulnerability is love. They're one and the same. They're one and the same. And it's the scary place that we have to go into. Do you love yourself in those moments when you mess up? Do you love yourself in that moment where, I wanted to say that, but I didn't? And you don't criticize yourself. You don't judge yourself. Instead, it's breath. Okay, that didn't go the way I desired it to. What did I learn? How can I do it differently the next time? I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I'm still lovable even though I didn't do that the way I wanted to. Right? It's how do you talk to yourself in those moments? Do you allow those messy pieces to come up and give them love? So when you see yourself in that example of, and I know I've got tons of examples bouncing around, but they're all so pertinent, that when you are in this place of, maybe you've been avoiding doing something about your weight for a while, avoiding. And then you can't avoid it anymore because something kind of puts it up into your forefront, or you consciously look at it and you're like, ooh. How do you handle that moment? How do you handle it? And it can be hard. I get it. And it's even reframing that from hard to it's expanding and it's strengthening the love inside of you. What is difficult and what is tricky is vulnerable. And what is vulnerable means when you actually face that, when you actually align yourself with that vulnerability, when you actually give space for that inside of you, you expand the love inside of you. You deepen it and you strengthen that love inside of you. Because vulnerability strengthens the love. It is almost like it's the food for love, for you and for others. It's the place where you get to actually access the love inside of you. You cannot access this love inside of you if you're not being vulnerable with you. And vulnerability means kindness, right? It's that, I think it's oh my gosh, my nose is so stuffy. Excuse me. What is that? It's the love is patient, love is kind, right? It's the same things with ourselves. Are you patient with yourself? Are you kind to yourself? Do you give yourself the benefit of the doubt? Do you allow yourself to make mistakes? Do you allow yourself to be who you want to be? Do you allow your desires to come through? Are you able to see if you have or you're where you're not exactly desiring to be? Can you love yourself in that moment and in the process of moving in the direction of where you desire to be? So in that exchange, lack of a better word, with my husband recently about the finances, it was hard. It was strengthening. It was expanding. It was this place of, it was really hard to be vulnerable with myself because it was all of a sudden, all these moments that I didn't realize that I was avoiding myself, all of a sudden it was the smack in the face moment, which is hard to be loving to ourselves when we're kind of startled and we're like, oh my gosh, and it's a little jarring and it's like, oh, all this realization, right? Have you ever had this moment when all of a sudden someone says something or does something, or you just have a thought inside of yourself and you're just like, oh my gosh, my whole world just shifted a moment because there's a whole new perspective. And it's kind of like this, it's the aha moments, it's the mind-blowing moments. But sometimes we get those aha and mind-blowing moments and it's like, and it's not the best kind of thing that you wanted to have, the aha or mind-blowing moments. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I was doing that. But I realize right now, this moment of awareness, when you are aware of, when you are not acting or being or talking or behaving or all the pieces in alignment with love and the things that you desire in your life, that awareness moment, how do you handle how you talk to yourself? And how do you behave in those moments of awareness? And to also, when you don't handle it well, how do you handle that? In the very first piece of this financial discussion with my husband, it was heated. It was heated. I did not handle myself in the most perfectest of ways. He didn't either. We had a lot of emotions going up. It was really hard to be vulnerable because shame actually came up inside of me. And to be with shame, this is the most like vulnerable of vulnerable. It's like compound vulnerability is needed to face shame. And to have love and light access that part inside of you that you feel some shame. And we've talked about this in a previous lesson about loving your past self and things that you haven't done that you did in the past that you're like, oh, right, ooh, I wish, kind of the cringe moments, or I wish I didn't, the coulda, woulda, shouldas, right? It's those moments that are tricky, but you get better and better at it. And sometimes we don't handle it in the best way, and that's okay. But how do you handle things in the next moment? So if you don't, in a moment, talk to yourself or behave toward yourself in a loving way, in the next moment that you get awareness, how do you handle that moment? The only moment of time that we have is now. The only moment of time that we have is now. If we end up judging and criticizing ourselves and we are actually not living in the now, in the present, we are actually creating shame and judgment and criticism and negative and the complete opposite of self-love that's going to be piled on to our past self. So how are you handling the now moment right now? Where in your life right now that you have awareness around that you could take a look at and give love to? Where do you need love? Where do you need love? Where can you be vulnerable with yourself? Where can you see the messy bits and go, okay, this is not exactly where I want to be, but can I love myself now and love myself through the process of going to that version that I want to be? It's loving all of it, not loving yourself until, or only until you get to this point of the body that you want, the finances that you want, the relationship that you want, the home that you want, the whatever it is that you want. Can you love yourself before you even have that? Can you love yourself and be vulnerable inside of yourself with that love in the process as you are becoming closer to the you that you really are? When you are becoming closer to the version of you that you truly are at your core. Can you love yourself now when you are a little off track or a lot off track Can you love yourself now and give yourself those vulnerable, caring, compassionate type of words to yourself, in actions toward yourself from love? And as soon as you can catch yourself when you are not acting in alignment with vulnerability and love for yourself, can you, in the next moment, make a choice toward love? And a good question to check in is what I'm saying to myself, is this loving? Is what I'm doing right now, is this loving? Is what I'm thinking right now, is this loving? Is what I'm feeling right now, is this loving toward me? And if the answer is no, then you get to go deeper. Okay, what can I do that would be loving? What can I say that would be loving? What can I feel that would be loving? What can I honor inside of my feelings that would be loving in the process of? And it's vulnerable because this means awareness, having awareness and allowing what is to come through and not judge what is coming through, to allow that to be and love it, not judge it, learn from it, and move from it into the direction you want to go. That's vulnerable. Back to back to back to back to back vulnerability. And to then share that out with others. So this is that next piece of, can you take what is inside of you and share it with others? This is also an act of self-love, because self-love, yes, is loving all the bits inside of you, the thoughts, the feelings, the actions, everything, and loving when it's not actually what you desire and in the process of. But can you also take all of what's inside of you, not all of it, we don't have to like just all of it, but can you take what's inside of you that is vulnerable and your truth and authentic to you, and then allow it to come out of you so that it can be seen by others? This is next level vulnerability. This is also in a place of self-love, because if we aren't putting ourselves in positions to be seen by others, then we are blocking and avoiding being seen. And as we talked about before, avoiding seeing is the complete opposite of vulnerability and love. So loving yourself is allowing yourself to be seen by others, to be seen by you and by others, by knowing yourself, finding yourself, loving yourself, trusting yourself, and allowing that all to be seen by somebody else, and allowing the truth to be seen, not the perfect version of you to be seen, not that people pleaser version of you be seen, the like pseudo you, right? The protected you, the like shiny object version of you. That's not love. That's not vulnerability. That is not self-love for you. Self-love for you is letting the authentic you come out and shine. Letting the authentic you be seen, be heard, be experienced. Do you allow yourself to be experienced by others? And your energy, your emotions, the essence of who you are, thoughts, feelings, actions, everything, your soul self. Do you allow yourself to be experienced by others? Or do you shut it down? Do you block? Do you avoid? Do you, that's too vulnerable, I can't do that. Self-love is allowing yourself to be seen. I can't repeat it enough. Self-love is allowing yourself to be seen by you, by others, by you, by others, by safe others. Very key in this place. I mentioned the other day to one of my clients, and I'm going to have to like post this on social media because I can't remember the exact phrase. Actually, I think I wrote it down. Let me pull it up, and I might need to go run and grab a tissue. My goodness. Oh, where is it? Oh, no, that's February stuff. Yes. So only seek to be seen by those that deserve to see you. Only seek to be seen by those that deserve to see you. So as you're being in this place of vulnerability, right, exploring yourself, what is actually you, and being loving toward what is actually you, and being compassionate, and then taking what is actually you and not any fake pseudo, piece together version of you in order to get the external validation. But putting that out there into the world is then asking, who am I trying to be seen by? What is my intention here? What is my purpose behind this sharing of me? Because what can sometimes happen is we get into this place where we do actually a self-fulfilling prophecy of that being seen and being loved in that way, and being in this act of self-love of being seen becomes bad and actually unsafe because we put ourselves in positions that actually fulfill that belief. So what we believe, we actually fulfill. So we got to be careful what we believe. So for example, what I've seen a lot of people do is what they'll do is they'll take their vulnerability and who they are, and then they'll just like chuck it out there, almost like like a monkey with poop, just like chucking it out at everything and at everybody who is there and everything inside of themselves. You might have experienced this before. And if this is you, there's no shame whatsoever. I just want you to be aware of this. Do I overshare vulnerability? Do I not slow down enough to check in? Is this person deserving to see me? Because self-love is making sure, this is the boundaries place too, is am I being seen by the people that I really desire to see me, that actually deserve to see me, and not just like anybody, not just some random Nancy on the side of the road. Like, who are you seeking to be seen by? Because not everybody deserves to see you. And so are you sharing everything with everybody? Like the gal at the grocery store, do you share your whole life story, all the vulnerability piece, which actually isn't vulnerable because that person doesn't really matter. If we're sharing to people that don't really matter, then it's not really vulnerable either. So just a side note on that. But am I taking all my vulnerable bits and putting it out there? Or say you have a first date with somebody and you dump all your vulnerability, everything out there. What happens is the other person, it's going to feel overwhelming to them, because to receive a huge dose of you all at once and the vulnerability of you all at once can feel overwhelming, not because you are overwhelming or not because what you have on the inside is bad or wrong or anything like that, but the action of sharing all of you at once, it's overwhelming. It's a lot. It's like somebody like piles a whole bunch of things on a dinner plate and like hands it to you for dinner, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like what am I to do with all this? Like, how am I supposed to eat all of this? So we want to make sure that we're not putting so much on the plate of vulnerability in front of others, because the reaction that often people can have is of that overwhelm of receiving all the vulnerability is they don't respond in the best way. They might go like, whoa, that was a lot, or I don't know what to say, or some reaction that can trigger you to feel like, well, see, they don't accept me. They don't appreciate me. They don't honor my vulnerability. I just shared, right? I just shared everything from my heart and they totally rejected me, because that's a feeling of rejection. But then sometimes we actually set up the scene to be rejected by sharing all that vulnerability in a huge dose with somebody. So we want to be careful. So it's the who we're sharing with and how we're sharing ourselves from a place of love and compassion and understanding and setting ourselves up for a loving container. So for example, for me, when I'm sharing, and this is not 100% because I'm not perfect, but most of the time when I have something vulnerable inside of me, so it's a piece of me that is important to me, and whatever is important to you is important. It's important and it's valuable. And to honor that importance is love for you. So when you are honoring that importance, and then how am I putting this out here? How am I sharing this? Am I sharing who I am, the authenticity of me, the importance inside of me in a vulnerable, loving way so that it can be received in the best way? Or am I setting myself up for a not so good thing, like the dumping everything out? So what I usually do, especially say in conversations, say with my husband, because he's the one I like converse with a lot because we live together, is I let him know I have something to share. I let him know that I want to express something to him. I'm not going to just bombard him. So I'm not always perfect on this, but it's letting him know, hey, I have something I want to talk to you about, or I want to talk about XYZ. Is now a good time, or is later a good time? So what you do in that sense is you're advocating for what is important inside of you by creating a safe space and time and container for what is inside of you, for what is inside of you to come out in a safe way. Right? If I just all of a sudden, I don't know, my husband's like walking down the stairs and I'm trying to like talk to him about something vulnerable, that is not the right scenario. That is not the right setup. So it's being very aware of the vulnerability inside of you. Am I owning and honoring it inside of me? And that's love. And am I allowing this pathway of it coming out and being received by someone else? Am I doing that also in a loving way? Am I setting myself up for, in the best way that I can, in a very good way, container and safety for it to be received on the other side from the people who deserve to see you, right? So like my husband, he deserves to see me. And I work every day, every week, every month to see myself more so that I can share with him. The more you see of yourself and love inside of yourself, and the more vulnerable you are inside of yourself, the more you get to share with the people that are important to you. And then the more there's love connection. So you deepen the love within you and you deepen the love with others. Deepen, 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 deepen. But if you're only playing on the surface and you're not actually seeing yourself, then we only connect with others in the world in a very surface way. And that's not loving, right? Surface stuff, right? Anybody can do surface stuff, but real love of self, real love of the connections that you have, and honoring those connections allows you to really deepen those connections. So ask yourself, am I sharing my vulnerability in a way that's setting myself up for success? And we can't guarantee it. We could do everything we can by, is this a good time to talk, or I want to talk about this? And you're sharing from a very grounded place, not from, so the only way that it goes well, or at least setting it up when you're talking with other people is, are you grounded inside of yourself in love and compassion inside of yourself and sharing in a vulnerable way? Or are you sharing from one of your protectors? Because if you're sharing from one of your protectors, that's not vulnerability, and it's not going to go well, right? It makes sense, right? Because if we're sharing from, say, the anger side of you, or if I share from the people pleaser side of me, or I share with the perfectionist side of me through that lens, it's not vulnerability, and that's not love. So we want to share the actual truth. Is the actual truth being acknowledged in you and shared with others? Is the actual truth, as much as you know it. And you keep getting more and more aware of it. And as we talked about, the more you are aware of the truth and loving that truth and moving yourself even more toward what truth that you want, what you desire, you get to love the whole process. Sometimes easier said than done. I'm going to definitely say that. So when you are sharing with others, am I setting myself up successfully in allowing a very good container time way in which I am sharing what's inside of me, so that it becomes this loving connection from you and with others? And is the person that I'm seeking to share my vulnerability with, do they deserve to even see me? Or is this actually not for them to know? Because loving yourself also means being very discerning about who gets to witness the truth of who you are. Who gets to see even the deep and deep and deep in bits? Because we've got like the layers of, because I know, someone who's an acquaintance, they're going to get to like this layer of Chelsea. Like my husband, he gets as deep of layers as I am even aware to even give him, right? And that I practice in the sense of vulnerability, right? Maybe some of your friends, maybe they're somewhere in the middle. It's almost like this concentric circle of vulnerability. And the deeper you go, the more love inside of yourself you're sharing with that person. So we have to be careful about who this person is in your world, and how deep of the love inside of you and the authenticity of you are you sharing with that person. And it can be, I see this, I acknowledge this inside of me, and I'm choosing not to share with this person. We don't have to be seen 100% of who we are, with everybody, if that makes sense. Because not everybody is deserving to see every parts of you. Like the parts in me that are really messy, the parts in me that are really vulnerable, the parts in me that are the ones that are even hard for me to accept sometimes, I'm not just going to share that with some random person until I've fully accepted it inside of myself and it serves a purpose. Or maybe even not. I'm just saying, like, say your boss at work. Your boss doesn't need to know some like big deep vulnerability unless it's appropriate. So you have to check in. Is this appropriate to be sharing this vulnerability? And really be checking in. And also, if somebody does witness you and they judge you and they criticize you and they do not agree with the authenticity and the love that you have shared with them, it doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't pull any love away from you to you. So we want to be careful too if, say, some random person like judges your outfit. Does their opinion matter? Does it really even matter? No, it doesn't. Someone who actually matters to you, then their opinion is going to matter to you. So we want to be really careful about who, right? And that back to that quote again is seek to be seen only by those that deserve to see you. And if someone sees you and they don't like it and they don't really matter to you, then that's okay. That would be people pleaser land where it's like, I want to be loved by everybody. But do we really want to be loved by everybody? No. Self-love inside of yourself is being very discerning about who gets to witness you, who gets to see you, who gets the honor and the privilege and the divine right to see you deep inside of you and everything inside of you. That is pure self-love, to be discerning. It is not selfish. It is not rude. It is not you being all high and mighty. It's, no, I do not want to share this with somebody else. I am choosing not to. I am protecting in a very loving way the vulnerability inside of me. So protecting, not from the protectors, but it's being that discerning, right? It's the boundaries, like we talked about in the last lesson, is really being, am I really being choosy about who gets to see me? Who gets the honor to see me? Because you are such a beautiful, wonderful, valuable, amazing woman. Amazing woman. And not everybody gets the honor to witness that. Not everybody gets the privilege to experience you and all of who you are. They have to earn that right. They have to go into the concentric circles, right? This is the process of deepening the connection with others, is because they have earned the right to go in. They've earned it. And I know there's the phrase of, what is that phrase? It's just almost like blind trust until proven otherwise. And although I understand that, I'm butchering that, but although I understand that, it's like give other people the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. And I say yes and no. You still want to be discerning. You don't want to put up your walls and not connect with anybody or share with anybody at all. And you also don't want to go on to the other side, as we talked about, is just sharing everything with everybody. And there's no difference between, Nancy at the grocery store and, your partner or your best friend. If there's no difference in what's being shared, then you are not discerning who gets the privilege to see you and experience you. So I want you to be very aware of who in my world gets the privilege to experience all of who I am. And do I maybe need to dial it up a little bit in the vulnerability? Or do I desire to dial it down a little bit in the vulnerability? Maybe maybe at work, maybe you share a lot of things to all the coworkers. This happens a lot. I see this a lot because they're there. You don't want to just talk to someone because they're there. You don't want to just share yourself because they're there. They need to earn the seeing of you, because you are so precious and you are such a hot, precious commodity of who you are, that is just, we don't want to be treating you like a Walmart t-shirt. Or you're treating yourself like a Walmart t-shirt and like everyone gets to experience you and wear you, and you're just like a one size fits all type of situation and everyone can, experience it? Or are you really in this place of, no, I'm not for everybody and that's okay. And the people that I am for they get to experience just like the really deep and yummy and good stuff inside of me. The good, the bad, and the ugly, the messy, all the bits. So it's really being in that place, right, of discerning of who. So I want you to really look at is, who in my world do I desire to turn the volume up on my vulnerability and sharing of who I am? And who in my world do I maybe need to turn the volume down a little bit? Because maybe I'm sharing a lot of myself and they actually don't deserve to see me. And this also, and just as a side note as well, I'm just thinking, so for those who are online entrepreneurs, there's a lot that we share online because it's a very open place, and we also get to pick and choose what we share at the same time. But it's asking yourself, what is the purpose of me sharing this? Whether it's a post online, whether it's talking to your boss, whether it's talking to a partner, right? Or talking to a new person you're dating, or talking to a coworker, talking to a friend, right? Asking yourself, what is my intention? What is my purpose with sharing this vulnerable piece? Does it have a meaning behind it? Or am I just sharing to share, just for sharesy's sake, right? We don't want to share what's inside of you because, again, this is such precious, like, amazingness inside of you. So we don't want to just like fling it around and share just to share. It's, what is my purpose and intention here? And is this in alignment with what it is that I desire? So with my husband, I'm going to share as much of vulnerability as I can because the intention behind it is I want to deepen my love and connection with him. And the more I share in vulnerability, the more that deepens our love. So that has an intention, that has a purpose. And the more I get vulnerable with myself, and the more you get vulnerable with yourself, the more you get vulnerable with yourself, is you get to go deeper inside and love more of you. The more awareness you have, the more you have the love, because there's limitless layers inside of yourself to love. So there's a purpose here. When you have more awareness, when you look at your messy bits, when you're journaling, when you're meditating, when you're going inside of yourself and you're understanding the map of who you are, that has a purpose because you are seeking to see more of yourself. And when you seek to see more of yourself, then you have more of yourself to love. So when you share more, when you're vulnerable with yourself, it's the self-sharing with yourself and self-owning and acknowledging what is within you. Of course, it's a purpose of self-love, more self-love. The more you see yourself, the more you get to love yourself, right? And the more a partner gets to see you, the more that there gets to be love. That's the purpose there too. And I know for me in my online community, when I share vulnerability is at the heartbeat of everything that I do. Everything that I do. So I'm going to turn the volume up on the vulnerability of my posts because that is what I advocate for. That is part of my mission and my purpose, is for all of us to love ourselves and see more of ourselves and acknowledge more what's inside and to share that with others. Because that's like the ultimate self-love. Because we can just be with ourselves and know ourselves, but then if it doesn't actually reach to others, then we've limited the love. We've limited the pathway of love. Because that vulnerability bridge between you and other people, that adds more love. So when we don't share with anybody else, then we're actually, like, the phrase that just comes up to my mind is cock blocking our love. We're cock blocking our love, and we don't want to do that, right? But we want to be discerning who we're sharing with and what's the purpose, what's the intention. So when I share online, my purpose and intention is to share with others that, one, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's safe to be vulnerable. And also that vulnerability is a part of my world. It's what I represent. It's what I stand for. It's who I am. And so that serves that purpose too. And so that people can see, oh, that's what's in Chelsea's world. I want some more of that, or I don't, because vulnerability can be hard and scary. So sometimes it's going to scare some people away because they're not ready to access more love inside of themselves. And love in the connection with others in their world. That is like the epitome of self-love, is loving you and loving into the connection with others. This is like a whole love situation. So really asking, what is my intention here? So maybe it's like, boss at work, when you're about to share something that's vulnerable with you, maybe something big happened over the weekend, check in with yourself, slow down enough to ask, what is my intention behind this share? What am I desiring from this sharing of me? Maybe you have a new partner, someone you're dating. When you're sharing something, check in with yourself once in a while. What is my intention here? Am I sharing this to hope that he loves me or she loves me? Am I sharing this in order to look cool and look good? Am I sharing this in order to like try to be perceived as perfect? Am I sharing this because, right, when you ask these questions, you can also see what part of you is trying to share this, and is it actually vulnerable? Right? Is it actually vulnerable? So asking what part of me is sharing this, and what is my intention? What is my purpose behind this vulnerable share? Which is such a beautiful thing. So you have to be checking in with yourself. So really is a little recap is looking at, okay, when I am aware of myself in all moments, how do I treat myself? How do I handle when I have more awareness of my messy bits? When I have more awareness of me? How do I see that? When I look at myself, actually look at myself physically, and when I look at myself emotionally, when I look at my past, which we've talked about before, when I see myself, how do I respond to myself? What kind of thoughts and feelings and actions come from that place? Do I have loving thoughts? Oh my gosh, I know you've gained some weight, but you are still beautiful. You're still beautiful. And you know what? How about the actions we start taking is maybe we dial it up a little bit in the working out and eating healthy. That would be in alignment with love. That feels relaxing. That feels good. So the thoughts, the actions, the feelings all feel good. Those are in alignment with love. Or is it, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I gained all this weight. Like, I'm such a fat pig. Like, holy cow, holy cow. You know what? I'm just gonna have like 500 calories now. I'm gonna work out every single day. Now I'm feeling like anxious and like fuck, like I need to like finish, like get this done. I need to like, this needs to happen now. I have to like lose all this weight. This like becomes anxious. So now we've got these negative thoughts, and we have the anxiousness, and hello lovely, and we have these actions that are not coming from love. So it's looking at those pieces and being vulnerable. Can I be vulnerable to allow the thoughts and the feelings and the actions? I know I got some itchy eye situation. Can I allow the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions to be from love? And when I'm sharing myself with others, am I checking on, do they deserve to even see me? And how am I setting myself up for success to be seen and to be heard by others? And also, what is my purpose and my intention of sharing what it is that's inside of me with others? Am I just sharing for sharesy's sake? Again, we don't want to do that. Or am I sharing to connect more? Am I sharing to be seen? Why am I sharing this? We don't want to just be dumping things out, or we don't want to be holding things back either. Sometimes we don't share, not sometimes, oftentimes we don't share in the vulnerability because it's vulnerable and it's scary. But it's, can I love myself even with what I share doesn't get seen in the way I want it to by somebody else? That is like next level self-love. Can I still love myself and give myself loving thoughts, have the loving feelings and the loving actions, even if the person that I share myself with doesn't receive it in a good way? Can I still talk to myself in love? So maybe you put on this really sexy outfit and you're feeling like totally divine, and you're like, that's yes, oh my gosh, I'm like looking bomb, and I'm feeling so good, and I'm just like, now I'm swaying my body, I'm loving it, I'm feeling it. So this is all like, you're feeling yourself, you're feeling good, you're feeling all the love, but then somebody makes a comment about your outfit and calls you a slut. One, does their opinion matter? Two, if it does matter, maybe, or like, I mean, if your partner ever calls you a slut, like honestly, that's a whole other issue. But it's, if they matter to you, it's, can I have a vulnerable conversation with them And, right, if they don't matter, it's the let it go. It's the let it go. Their opinion doesn't matter. I still think I'm sexy. I still think I'm wonderful. Or do you actually hold on to their opinion of you in place of your own opinion of yourself? This is another level of the vulnerability. It's a huge piece. There's multi layers, but it's another piece of, can I hold the truth of who I am and who I see me to be in a loving way, even in the face of others? Even in the face of others, even if someone else doubts you, or even if someone else calls you a name, or even if somebody else judges you and criticizes you, can you hold the view of you even if someone else doesn't hold that view of you? Can you hold that? This is something that honestly I work on all the time, all the time. To not let someone else's opinion of you eclipse your opinion of you. Or if we judge ourselves or criticize ourselves and someone has that same opinion, it actually just adds into that not self-love place. So we want to hold the self-love and see, all right, is this person opinion? Do I want to honor this opinion or do I not want to? Because do they matter to me? Do they not? So that's a piece that's there. And I lost my train of thought. I had another piece I was going to tell you, ladies. Lots of piece of the vulnerability. Yes, last piece. So also what's really important as you are expanding the love inside of you, expanding the vulnerability of you, they go hand in hand, right? So as you are expanding this vulnerability, is making sure too that you are honoring yourself in the before and in the after. We talked some about the before of, if you're sharing with somebody, right? Sharing with a partner, a friend, your sister, I don't know who, and you're sharing. How are you supporting yourself in the actual sharing, which we talked about? How are you supporting yourself in the before? So if you have something really vulnerable to share, how are you supporting yourself in that process in a loving way? Are you setting yourself up for success in sharing whatever it is that you're wanting to share, this authentic version of you, something inside of you that you want to be seen and to share with others? Are you actually doing that in a loving place? Meaning, are you doing it like, I'm just thinking of like, are you doing it after you've had 5 drinks and then you're sharing that with somebody? Although drinking often loosens up the inhibitions, so a lot of people do that in the way of sharing vulnerability, but it's not really supportive. It's not supportive because it's not honoring the transmission of the authenticity of you into the outside world. So are you honoring the transmission, the bridge, the connection from you and with others? And are you doing that in a loving way? Are you allowing that space? Maybe you, I don't know, maybe you take a nap beforehand. Maybe you do some journaling beforehand. Maybe you take a shower beforehand to really get yourself into this really a supportive and loving space. And then you have the transmission of the sharing and also on the other side. So the last piece I just want to share with you and acknowledge is there's often what I like to call vulnerability hangover. Oftentimes there's vulnerability hangover. This is the time and the moment where you're like, oh my gosh, whoa, I just shared this big piece inside of me, outside of me. I took what was inside that I'm loving, or maybe even like I'm feeling uncomfortable with, and I put it out there. And now I'm like, it's the scene, it's the vulnerability hangover. It's like, holy cow, that was a lot of seeing. There was a lot of seeing of me that was happening there. So there can be a vulnerability hangover of the doubts can come in of, oh my gosh, I wish I didn't share that. And oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that. And oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So there's a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas can happen into this place of vulnerability hangover. So you want to be aware of that and to catch those thoughts of, no, it's okay. It's all okay. It's all okay. I'm just in vulnerability hangover right now. And just like an actual hangover, are you taking care of yourself after the fact? Are you drinking a lot of water? Are you allowing your body to rest? Really taking care of your mind and your body and your heart and your soul from this big scene moment. Because when you expand, you being seen by you and being seen by others, that vulnerability hangover, it's you literally were expanding your heart. You are expanding your heart. And it's like, like with muscles, when you are expanding your muscles and strengthening your muscles, you get the muscle tears that happen, and there's a pain that's there. And it's like, oh, that was tricky. That was hard. Like, and ow, it's kind of, I'm sore. Well, yeah. Now there's going to be some aftercare that happens for that, right? You don't want to baby that part of you that may be sore, but you're going to still move. You're going to drink water. You're going to eat healthy. It's the same thing with a vulnerability hangover. It's like, whew, okay, it was like a big tough workout that happened because you expanded your heart in a way that was strengthening, it was expanding. So are you taking care of yourself after the fact of a vulnerability share? Because this is a piece where so many of us don't do, and we just kind of zip right on by and just like avoid that happened. So we want to honor, this is a self-love piece too, is really honor the sharing that you did in whatever capacity it is, right? There's could be so many examples that happen with that. Are you honoring yourself after the fact? Are you telling yourself amazing things that, yes, oh, heck yes, good job sharing that. Like, that was hard, wasn't it? It's like a tough workout. Like, that was really tough. Like, holy cow. Like, I am so proud of you that you got through that. Like, wow. Are you telling yourself those loving thoughts? Or is it the coulda, woulda, shouldas, oh my God, I'm like, the icky contracting thoughts? Or is it, wow, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself? Which then allows the feelings of, okay, that feels a lot better. I'm feeling good inside of myself, more grounded. And then the actions you take from that is, okay, I'm so proud of myself and that was a tough workout. Can I go honor myself in maybe you take another shower and you're like, I love the water. It's always my grounding place, or taking a nap or journaling or, eating healthy or water, all the pieces where you're honoring yourself in the before and the during and the after process, the before, the after, and the during. So with all of this in the way of vulnerability, as it does first always start with you. You are the access to you, which is kind of cool. You literally are the only person who has the key to you, in your soul, in your heart, everything that is you, your authenticity of you. Only you have the access to that. You have the truth of you, and so you want to be the one that then sees that, because you are the keeper of you. In your home, this is your home. This is who you are. So if you've got the key to your home, are you loving the home that you're in and exploring that and allowing it to be? And then are you inviting other people into your home? Are you locking everyone out? Or are you just letting anybody willy-nilly like trample through your home? Right? So you are the key and the keeper of you, which is such an amazing thing. It's a privilege, right? Remember, it's a privilege to be you. So because you are the key to you, keep unlocking more rooms. That's the thing. There's the limitless layers. There's more and more rooms inside of you. And you're not going to share all of them with everybody. Right? If you think of an actual house, right? And as I said, like, are you just inviting everybody over and they're trampling all over? And are you not letting anybody over into your home and letting you be seen? Because that is the purest of self-love, is seeing you and being seen by others. Or are you discerning and you're inviting people over and not inviting some others? Or maybe you invite some people over, but they're not allowed upstairs in the more intimate bedrooms because there's more intimate stuff there. There's more vulnerable stuff there. Maybe they're just allowed in the living room, the kitchen, and like the downstairs bathroom area, and that's it. So you get to decide for you. This is also in alignment with the boundaries lesson that we have, that you get to decide. You get to set the boundaries. You get to have the say. But you got to look at yourself first and own yourself and love yourself and have this home that you have be one that you're like, yes, I love this. And if it's not exactly what you want it to look like, just like with the home, it takes some time to redo some things and to shift things around. But that's the loving yourself in the process of shifting and rearranging to the direction of what you desire. That's the vulnerability piece. Loving in all ways, in all forms, even in the messy bits, in the process, in the beginning, the during, and the after, not just the result. Loving yourself always and sharing with people that deserve to see you. And that's today's lesson. I could keep sharing so much. There's always so many goodies. This is why I keep doing what I'm doing. I hope this was helpful for you, ladies, and I'm so excited. We're getting towards the end. So we have 2 more lessons. We have Q&As coming up. And so I'll see you in those. And I'll see you in the next lesson. Love you, ladies.